while we're here on the island, we wanted to check out the power operation. There's two entities involved here. You have PREPA that generates the power, and then you have LUMA that distributes and transmits that power. Now, LUMA is the new private company in this process, and they have gotten a lot of backlash. Residents here say they have not made good on their promises to lessen blackouts, and in fact, a lot of residents say things are worse under their authority. And we're looking for answers as to where we are right now and if the system, the electrical grid, can handle a Category 4 as it stands right now. Within minutes of arriving in San Juan, it was clear that a lot of Puerto Ricans want LUMA out.
Que renuncie y se vaya de Puerto Rico.
Christy Robles, a coffee shop manager, wants LUMA and its president and CEO, Wayne Stensby, off the island.
I understand that the price of electricity in Puerto Rico is very expensive, and it has gone up dramatically in the last 18 months.
We sat down with Stensby, who says there's confusion about LUMA's role in providing power.
PREPA today is still the generation operator, so they're the organization, the government entity that operates the power plants. So they produce the bulk of the electricity. LUMA is effectively transports it across the wires and presents it to customers.
LUMA is responsible for transmitting and distributing the power that PREPA generates. Christy understands that, but says the details are still fuzzy.
Yo no tengo clara bien todavía quién le toca a quién.
To understand the issue, you have to understand the background. Until June of 2021, PREPA, the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, generated and managed the island's power. We sat down with PREPA's executive director, Josué Colón.
PREPA signed a contract with them that we call the OMA. It's an operating and management contract. They, on our behalf, are in charge of the operation of the system, also of the maintenance, and also they are in charge of the recovery projects.
LUMA won a 15-year, $1.5 billion contract with PREPA, and in addition, FEMA allocated $9.5 billion toward the island's power restoration.
Peor que cuando estábamos con energía eléctrica.
But residents say they're just not seeing the results of that multi-billion-dollar effort.
Cuando no es que se va la luz por hora o por día, es que pasan ese tipo de bajones de luz. Yo empecé pagando $77 de luz al mes, ya voy por $200 de luz.
A letter to Stensby from the U.S. House of Representatives in October of 2021 states in part, LUMA has attempted to increase electricity rates, notwithstanding promises to keep them constant for the first 3 years of operation. There was an understanding from the public here that rates would not increase in under LUMA. So far, there have been 5 increases. The latest was 17%. What do you say to those that feel like they've been lied to?
What LUMA said when we began operation a little over a year ago is we would not increase rates for the element of the bill, the piece of the bill that LUMA is responsible for, and we haven't. We found a way to live within our budgets. There is another portion of the bill that is actually the generation costs, and that's the piece that PREPA and the generators charge for fuel. And it's true, that has gone up systematically across the last year and a bit.
I took that response to Josué Colón during our tour of the Costa del Sur power plant.
Yes, at the end, this comes out to the customer because the production cost is higher, so the rates are going to be higher.
Colón says customers are seeing the increase in the price of natural gas, combined with the price hikes for fuel after the war in Ukraine started in February.
From January to May, we spent close to $1 billion on fuels, and from May to June, in just a month, we suffered another increase in the prices of $100 million in 1 month because of the war and because of the rise on the prices of all the fuels. But for us here in Puerto Rico, it's worse because we have more of our unit, or most of our units are still running on oil.
And And that's exactly what energy experts say needs to change.
They're responsible for delivering a rate, and the rates have gone up.
Tom Sanzillo is the director of financial analysis for the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis.
They don't get to tell the utility that the kid just grew faster than we thought, and so there's new shoes needed for a child, and so we can't pay the electric bill this month. It doesn't work that way.
Sanzillo has worked in the energy industry for decades and says Puerto Rico's dependence on oil is expensive and obsolete.
The grid system there, the power plants and what have you, are run on diesel fuel and coal. And around the world, like 1% of the world runs on diesel. Nobody runs on diesel anymore. They're stymied on how to move forward on renewable energy, which is what they need to reduce that cost. Oil and coal and gas are very expensive right now, and they are volatile in pricing, and they need to be replaced. Should be top priority, and it isn't.
Stensby says LUMA is proud of what they've accomplished in the year since it took over distribution.
We connected more rooftop solar in the first year than PREPA had connected in its entire existence. We replaced more than 3,000 poles. We've brought the frequency of outages down. We've answered an incredible amount of calls. In most cases, we've been able to get our call answer times down to less than a minute.
And even some of their worst critics agree.
Algo sí hay que decir de LUMA. Algo sí hay que decir, que tú los llamas y vienen más rápido que lo que venía energía eléctrica.
During our time on the island, we did see LUMA at work. But Stensby says it's hard to dig themselves out of the hole he says PREPA created.
I think we understood the system as it was. I do think, though, there has been a historic lack of transparency around the state of the system. There was a lack of transparency prior to Maria and then post-Maria. PREPA's $9 billion in bankruptcy, right? $9 billion. The power poles are leaning. That didn't happen. You know, LUMA arrived and the power pole leaned over. That's been going on for decades.
He said that he inherited a broken down system of the power grid from PREPA. What is your response to that?
Well, that is true because you know, the system was damaged from because of the hurricanes. PREPA is under bankruptcy, under Title III of PROMESA, so we also have a lack of funds to give maintenance and repairs to the system.
And not just damage from hurricanes, earthquakes too. An earthquake damaged boilers at the Costa del Sur power plant and damaged the foundation of 2 water tanks.
We're building new tanks.
Not to mention, a fire at a substation across the street from the plant created a massive outage back in April, leaving 500,000 people without power.
We began on a breaker that suffered a damage, and then this is spread out through the whole system and caused the major event that happened.
LUMA is investigating what caused the breaker to fail. Months later, work is still being done to repair it. So we had to ask, can the electrical grid handle another Category 4?
The system is still fragile. If another hurricane of that category strikes Puerto Rico, we are going to go through maybe the same process as before. The main difference between them and now is that at that time, Puerto Rico and PREPA were not prepared to receive a hurricane.
The grid is not ready for another Category 4, but the response to a Category 4 would be different than Maria.
Yes, we will be more quick because we doesn't need to wait weeks. We have more equipment, more spare parts, more inventory in our warehouses and also in the warehouses at LUMA to respond to an emergency. And at the end, PREPA are going to have a better system that are going to provide a better and high quality service to the people that live in the islands of Puerto Rico.
It's just tough to say when that end will be.
When we are going to finish the whole project, maybe are going to take years, close to 8 years from now.